Hey, you guys, welcome to another interview. Today, we have an interview with the island girl, Tracy Taylor, and she is pretty cool. So, here we go. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So, yeah, the first question, I did some little research. You've been in the business for over 20 years.
More like 25, 27-ish years, yes.
Wow. So how did you first get into professional wrestling?
Well, it was something that was presented to me at a certain point in my life. And I moved from Hawaii to Louisville, Kentucky, and I
Okay.
went to OVW, and I started
Okay.
the beginner class there. And yeah, I did it because somebody asked me if I wanted to do it, and I just said yes. And
Okay.
then I didn't really think I was gonna pursue a whole wrestling career out of it, but
Right.
that's what happened.
It happened. So when you got to OVW, how long did it take for you to actually get into the ring?
um, so I got into the ring the very first day I signed up.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember I was learning how to do arm drags, flippers, and getting tossed out of the ring, and headlock takeovers, and running the ropes. Like I learned a lot of stuff that first day. My head was spinning when I was done. I was like when I left that place, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna remember anything. But yeah, it was super fun.
And how was your first actual bump?
After my first bump,
Yeah.
oh, after the first bump, that's when someone told me after you take your first bump, you're either gonna decide you don't want to do this, or
Okay.
okay, I can handle it. So after my first bump, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I can do that again.
So, does it actually really hurt?
It does hurt. I mean, it doesn't feel good, especially if you're not used to it, and you're expecting it to be a lot softer. I know a lot of people think the ring is really soft. So when they initially take their first bump, they're really shocked that the ring is not soft at all.
Which is worse, the bump or the ropes?
The ropes, if you get hit in the ropes the wrong way, they hurt. And I can tell when somebody gets hurt in the ropes because I know from experience,
Yeah.
in getting tangled up in the ropes, that I know exactly how it feels, and it does not feel good at all. And just running the ropes and hitting the ropes with your back, um, the next day, if you don't have bruises, you weren't doing it right.
Oh man. So in OPW, is it not a developmental uh, play for WWE?
It used to be. It
Yeah.
used to be the main place for
Yeah.
developmental. Yes. And when I was there, it was the place for developmental. That was
Okay.
back in 2005, 2006.
Okay.
Yeah, and they did have the developmental. I was only in the beginner class, which was in a totally separate building. So
Oh really?
I was actually in Ohio training,
Okay.
and the Danny Davis Arena is in Kentucky. So yeah, it's a now they're not a part of the developmental, but
Hmm.
when they when they opened up their new school, that was for Deep South Wrestling,
Yeah.
and that was in McDonough, Georgia, which is
Okay.
where it all happened for me.
Okay. While you were in OVW, who else was there with you?
Oh gosh. Let me see if I can remember off the top of my head. It was so long ago. Okay, so there was okay, off the top of my head I can remember being there was Mickey James,
Okay.
Beth Phoenix, um, let's see, Doug Basham, Renee Dupree, Rob Conway, uh, Nick Dinsmore. Nick Dinsmore was actually my very, very first trainer going through
Wow.
my training. Um, so grateful for that because he's awesome. Uh, who else was there? Jim Cornette, Danny Davis, Rip Rogers, um, so many people. I mean, Molly Holly was there. She passed through there. Melina, uh, Morrison. Um, gosh, I can't really think of. There were so many people.
Dang, that is a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. There were so many people, and to see where they are today is
Oh yeah,
amazing. It's awesome.
yeah, yeah. It is. So, do you remember your very, very, very first match?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Oh my gosh. Okay, so um you're as a wrestler you're taught to take your gear everywhere you go,
Yeah.
okay? And this one particular time I took my gear because I was told to take it, and I really at that point in my wrestling career, I
Okay.
kind of hoped I kind of hoped I didn't have it in the car, but
Oh,
I just so happened to have it in the car that day, and that day, I don't know. Part of me is like, it had to happen that way, and then a part of me was like, oh my god, if I could have just been a little more prepared,
mhm.
um, I would have rather have been a little more prepared. But I'm glad, my career is my career, and my very first match was against Jillian Hall,
Okay.
and it was it was not the best match. Because I remember they put me as a heel
Okay.
and she was the baby face. And if anybody knows anything about, wrestling today, it's that the heel usually leads the match, and
Yeah.
you know and yeah, I didn't know how to do any of that. And I really didn't know
Okay.
the difference between a body slam or a hip toss or an arm drag, or everything was foreign to me at that time. So yeah, I was terrible. I was so horrible at that time. But I think that initial match made me uh, talk to myself and say, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to know exactly what it is I'm doing. And I dove headfirst and just started doing my research, my homework. I started training harder, and I started eat, sleep, drinking, whatever, however you say it, wrestling. Like wrestling was my life at that point.
So back in the day, did you use the same name as you do right now, the Island Girl, Tracy Taylor, or Kiak? I forgot the other name.
Yes. So it wasn't until Deep South Wrestling
Mm-hmm.
when the Island Girl came about,
Okay.
because I was being looked at to, actually get a contract. And when I finally did get my contract,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it was sent down from the office, and they didn't know my name,
Okay.
so they started calling me the Island Girl because my whole persona was just somebody from an island, and and
Okay.
my promo picture that I had sent up to the office was
Mhm.
me with a surfboard. So automatically they started calling me the Island Girl. We want the Island Girl to be here. We want her to do this, 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 this.
Okay.
I didn't really have a name. So when I started wrestling, everybody already knew me as Taylor. So they already started calling me Tracy Taylor, Tracy Taylor. That was like my official name. And so when I debuted on TV, it was the Island Girl Tracy Taylor. And it just kind of stuck with me. And there were opportunities where I was going to go to a different country or go to a different promotion, and I wanted to change my name to
Mm-hmm.
be, because I didn't want to be stuck with Tracy Taylor. because it wasn't really my real name. So uh, I really wanted to change it, and it just it never caught on because everybody already had known me as Tracy Taylor.
Sure.
So it was until recently when I went back to OVW,
Mm-hmm.
my name changed to TT.
Okay. TT.
And that was my name up north for maybe 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I eventually got signed with WoW.
Yeah.
And when I got signed with WoW, they were asking me what I wanted my name to be because they couldn't use TT because we already had a Tiki.
Yeah.
And so I chose my Hawaiian name, which is
Okay.
Kalaki.
Okay.
And I have my Hawaiian bracelet that has my name on it. And I looked down and I was like, this is what I want right here. I want my Hawaiian name.
Okay.
And they decided to go with that.
That is great. So when you got called up to the WWE, do you remember that day?
Yes, I actually do. So we used to make wrestling gear for the wrestlers on TV and for
Okay.
OVW. And one person in particular that we used to make gear for, it was Tommy Dreamer.
Okay.
And I remember being in bed with the flu, and my husband called me and was like, hey, did Tommy try to call you? And I said, I don't know. I haven't been answering my phone because I've been sick. And he was like, well, you have to answer it because Tommy's trying to call you. He wants to order some gear. And I said, oh, please, can you just take this phone call? I don't feel like taking orders right now. He's like, no, 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 you have to take this call. So
Okay.
he knew what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. Uh, and so I said, well, I think he's already called me. I'll call him back. So I mustered up the energy to call him back, and I ended up calling him, and he answered, and he immediately said, oh, you don't sound good at all. And I said, I have the flu. I'm in bed. I was
Oh
like,
God.
I just took NyQuil, um, and I just want to sleep. And he was like, well, hopefully I can make this fast. So he started talking, and in my head, I'm waiting for him to tell me what he wants
Yeah.
gear wise, right? And he just starts talking about a contract and this and that, and timelines and where I needed to be. And I was like, wait, hold on, what? And he said, Tracy, I'm trying to give you a contract right now. And I was like, shut up. And he goes, I'll call you back. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, no, wait. I go, I'm so sorry. I'm out of it. I just took NyQuil. I'm in bed. I don't feel good. And he goes, I'm trying to give you a contract. We're trying to hire you right now. And I said, oh my God, are you serious? And after that, it was so weird because like I started to immediately get better.
Wow. That fast.
That fast. I don't know if it was the adrenaline spike or what, but yeah, I started to get better immediately. And um, I told him that I was going home for a month back to Hawaii because we were living in Georgia at that time.
Okay.
And I said I had to go back home for a month. And he said, it's no problem. Go take care of what you got to take care of and come back ready to work. And I did. And I just, oh my gosh, it was the best experience of my life.
And what was the first city that you showed up at?
The first thing that
The city where you debuted for
oh, so,
WWE.
okay. So I never actually got to debut on TV.
Okay.
There were 3 opportunities where we almost debuted on TV. So
Okay.
we almost got to debut on Raw against Nitro, Melina, and Mercury,
Yeah.
and that didn't happen. And
Okay.
so we were at the airport actually, and we were told not to get on the plane, and we were at the gate. And so our bags went to New York. We stayed. We were in disbelief. We're like, what just happened? So we were told we were going to debut on SmackDown in the next 2 weeks, and so we were
Okay.
excited about that. We were going to debut against Shad Gaspar and his partner,
Yeah.
and something happened there. The storyline changed, and that happens in wrestling. And then we were going to debut with the Teacher's Pets, Michelle McCool and Kendrick, and and then that didn't happen because the storyline changed again. And then we were going to debut on ECW, and and then one of our teammates, because there was three of us, and one of our teammates had encountered an injury that we were trying to hide.
Oh
And
God.
it got out that he was injured, and we never got to go out to TV. And then eventually cuts came around, and that was it. But at that point in my career, I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, what's next? Like, where are we
Yeah.
going next? Like, what are we doing? I didn't let me getting released stop me, obviously,
Hmm.
because here I am.
Oh yeah. True. So after you got released, did you go to any independent wrestling company or did you go somewhere else?
So as soon as I got released, I decided to go back home to Hawaii.
Okay.
Um, and it was amazing because I had an opportunity to go to Japan.
Oh wow.
And so then uh, the Japanese promoter from Zero One and Sun Promotion came over and brought his girls over. And I won the NWA European Women's title.
Okay.
And then, so I had to take that back to Japan. And that was my first tour that I went to Japan. And I went by myself. And I was so new at the time, like I didn't know what to expect. And when I went over there, they just treated me like royalty. It was
Wow.
awesome. It was so awesome. I enjoyed every minute of that too. And I ended up dropping the title over there. But one of the things that stood out to me that I didn't realize then, that I realized, um, you know, later on in my
Yeah.
career, were that I got to wrestle Kana. And if
Ooh.
anybody knows who that is, it's Asuka.
Yeah.
And I remember her debuting on TV, and she had the same move set
Hmm.
that I remember her doing with me.
Okay.
And I was watching it, and I said, wait a minute, is that? And I quickly Googled it. And I was like, that is her. Oh my God, that's so cool. But yeah, it was 2007 is when I got to wrestle her.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly when she debuted. I can't remember, but it was sometime later.
Hmm.
And I thought it was just the coolest thing to see her. And then also Aja Kong. Aja
Oh.
Kong was my tag team partner at one of my matches. And I got to see her again in California when I was with WoW.
Okay.
And I got to take a picture with her, and I did a before and I did
And
an
after.
after. Yeah. And so
Nice.
that was pretty cool.
So Japan. What is the difference between wrestling in Japan and wrestling in the States? Or is there a difference?
There is a slight difference. They I don't know. Looking back at it now, to me back then there might have been a slight difference, but looking back at it now,
Hmm.
there is really no difference. Um, they take it very seriously. They're very passionate about it. Their strikes are there. But that's anywhere you go. I think wrestling different types of people and
Yeah.
how they're trained is going to be different everywhere you go. So like I've wrestled in Mexico, I wrestled in Canada, I wrestled all over the US and Hawaii and Japan. So everybody wrestles different, but it's pretty much a universal language.
And now you are with wow women of wrestling. So how did that come to be? How did you start with that promotion?
So so that came later on in my career. I had no clue that that was even a possibility in
Hmm.
my career. Um, I was hoping for it, that I was
Okay.
hopeful for it. And I remember being asked when it first started. So that was like years and years
Oh yeah.
ago. And I was asked to do the tryouts. And I guess you needed to be vaccinated back then at that time, and I wasn't. and so I couldn't do the tryout. So then it just kind of went away. And then it got to the point where, like, everywhere I wrestled on the independents, people were asking me, "Why aren't you with WoW? Why aren't you with WoW?" It was a question that kept coming up. And I had a friend who I wrestled with in Illinois
Mhm.
who had a little bit of pool to
Okay.
actually get my name in there in the pool.
Okay.
And she was very, passionate about getting me in there. And she was like, "I don't understand why you're not with WoW." And she definitely put my name in their ear. And there was other people as well that put my name in their ear.
Okay.
And they can they considered me, and I got a phone call out of the blue, and it was such a amazing day that I when I got that news, because I just never expected that
Mhm.
at this point in my career.
Cool. Man, cool. That is awesome. I remember watching WoW back in about 2001 when they first started, but it wasn't on TV. They used kind of pay per view,
Uh-huh.
so I had to pay to watch it. So, but it was great. It was,
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for supporting them, because they're a great company,
oh yeah,
and I just love working for them. I really do. It's a company that I feel like my character works well at, and I just love all the girls there. I love everybody there.
right now, how many women are on that roster?
Oh gosh, I there's a lot.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot. I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head. I'd have to go and count.
Well, there is a question. Wow, are you able to wrestle for other companies and wow, or just wow?
So, I wrestle for a lot of different promotions, and I want to say it's because I this is something I've been doing in my career. So I'm not sure what it's like for everybody on the roster.
Okay.
But I know for myself that if I do have a question about it, I do ask WoW before I do it. Um, I- I'm assuming if I do go with another internationally known company, I would have
Mhm.
to definitely consider one contract over the other.
Okay. So, this might be a stupid question, but what do you like better, being a babyface or being a heel?
I enjoy both. I have fun with both of them. I'm an actress as well.
Okay.
I do take acting classes, and I do love changing my persona.
Hmm.
So anytime that I can step out of the box and challenge myself to do something different, I I really accept it and
Okay.
and roll with it, because it's just fun. If I can, I don't know if anybody has seen my YouTube videos where I am a heel.
Hmm.
Is a very different persona.
Okay.
It's uh she's she's very she's very hateful, she's very conceited, she thinks a lot of herself. Um Whereas the babyface version is all about just representing her islands and wanting to have fun and wrestle all over the world and surf her opponents. That's it.
And which one is the hardest to get a reaction from from the fans?
Well, it takes two to get the correct reaction, I think. Um, but I feel like either one I get reactions out of. I have to you really have to go out and know who you're wrestling in front of.
Okay.
to understand how to get a reaction out of the audience.
Yeah.
So I think that's an art in itself.
Yeah. Well, the last question is, if you could put 5 wrestlers on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, who would you put up there?
If I could, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
If you could pick 5 wrestlers of the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, who would you put up there?
Oh gosh. Okay. I guess The Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, him definitely number one. Um, I would say that's one. Okay, I'm just gonna name off the ones that stick out in my head. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the ones that stick out in my head would be The Rock, Hulk Hogan. Um, it would have to be Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
Um, Trish Stratus and Jazz.
Those are some good ones.
Yeah. Was that 5?
Yeah, that was that.
Okay.
What about from the WoW promotion?
From the WoW promotion, the Mount Rushmore of ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I would have to be up there.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Marina Tucker, I would say the Carlson twins. Um, I would have to say, let's see, that's me, Marina, the Carlson twins. That's 4. I would have to have one more. I would have to pick my partner, Destiny Diesel.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that's good. Well, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to do this. I had I had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry my schedule was a little crazy, but I have, like
No,
I said.
no, it's okay. And if there's anything you want to plug, you can go right ahead.
Okay. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at the Island Girl TT. Or if you want to follow me on my WoW page, superhero page, it is Island Girl WoW, and that's under Kalaki. And then I also own a gym where we do train wrestlers, and that's New Era Fit 22 on Instagram.
All right, guys. I will have it down in the description. So, once again, thank you so much,
Thank you so much. Aloha.
and you have a good day.
You too.